In today's episode of Locked On NBA, we're going to be talking to Evan Dammarell of Locked On Cavs about the meteoric start to Evan Mobley's career. It's all coming up. Stay tuned.
You are Locked On NBA, your daily NBA podcast. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Hey guys, and welcome back to another episode of Locked On NBA. I am your Monday host, Josh Lloyd. I also host the Locked On Fantasy Basketball Show, which you can find on our YouTube channel. Click the link in the description to go find me over there. We're going to talk to Evan Dammarell about Evan Mobley. Today's show is brought to you by Rock Auto. If you need parts for your car and you love fixing it yourself, don't bother going to a local chain store because you're just going to have to go line up to talk to the bloke behind the counter. He's going to have to order the part for you because there's just too many parts and makes and models these days. And he's going to charge you more for all that hassle. Get out of here. Go straight to rockauto.com. They're a family business serving online auto parts do-it-yourselfers for over 20 years. Why would you spend 30, 50, even 100% more for the same parts? Brake parts, tail lamps, motor oil, even new carpet. rockauto.com has everything you can need. So head to rockauto.com and check out their expansive catalog of all the parts you need for your car or truck. And in there, how did you hear about us box? Right, Locked On, so that they know that we sent you. Amazing selection, reliably low prices, all the parts your car will ever need. rockauto.com. All right, so let's bring him in now. The host of the Locked On Cavs podcast is here with me. It is Evan Dammarell. Evan, the Cavs had pick 3 in the NBA draft. Pretty good spot to be. Some people maybe were questioning their decision to take Evan Mobley. He's been unbelievable, and I would say he is at this point based on what we've seen, he is the favorite for Rookie of the Year after these first few games.
Yeah, I think that's a pretty safe assumption to make. Granted, we're only a handful of games into the season, and Cade Cunningham hasn't played yet for the Pistons. But like you've said, Evan Mobley has been nothing short of incredible for the Cavs, and I know maybe nationally people disagreed with taking him if you were Cleveland because they had Jared Allen and then eventually they added Lauri Markkanen and then have Kevin Love in the fold as well. But I'm firmly of the belief there's a reason why you're picking that high. And if Evan Mobley is the best player available, you never say no to talent and you just roll with it.
Yeah, exactly. Look, I would have picked him at pick number 2. I was pretty high on him coming into the draft, so for the Cavs to get him to fall there, like, you don't base your decisions around having Jarrett Allen or potentially moving for Lauri Markkanen later on. He's been awesome. Yeah, and when I say he's the favourite for Rookie of the Year, based on what's happened, of course, as you said, Cade hasn't played and lots of stuff can happen, but he has, maybe I should have phrased it this way, saying that he has been the most impressive rookie to date by, I'd say, a pretty considerable margin. There are some other impressive performances. Chris Duarte in Indiana is one of those, but Mobley's been awesome. What's been most impressive to you? Because we knew that he'd come out and be pretty good defensively. We worried, I guess, a little bit about his frame and maybe playing at the 4. Has it been defensively? Have you been more impressed or surprised with him offensively? Or what's stood out to you with Mobley?
God, how much time do I have here? So much has impressed me so far with him. Defensively alone, JB Bickerstaff had an awesome quote. I wasn't able to make it to media because of some technical issues. So I had a friend who works at a local radio station ask just simply, why did the Cavs switch to a 3-2 zone to kind of mock things up against Atlanta? And he said he views Evan Mobley kind of as a KG and a Flip Saunders zone style defense in this situation. Like, that's high praise for a rookie, and you've just been hearing high praise about him left and right, but it's just, yes, he puts up impressive box score statistics. He is everything you expect in terms of blocking shots and altering things, and then also steals and everything else. But it's just the little things as well. Like Trae Young, he is able to switch on Trae Young confidently, or John Morant, he was able to switch on John Morant confidently and just provide frustration, alter shots. The fact that the Cavs are kind of asking him to defend 1s, 2s, 3s, 4s, and 5s on a night-to-night basis already is a pretty tough ask to begin with. I think it's going to be even tougher when they play the Lakers next week and they have to face LeBron, Anthony Davis. Just not really a favorable task for any rookie. And just offensively as well, it's the passing, it's the playmaking, it's the fact that he's looking to make the quick reads and everything else to just kind of adjust things for the Cavs and just to kind of make the extra pass, which is just something that you didn't expect. Like, it's something they talked about about him coming out at Southern Cal because they didn't have a true point guard, so he more or less was the offensive hub for them. And he thought maybe it's just a little overblown just given the situation, but he really has been a delight offensively just because of the playmaking that he provides. And once he becomes more comfortable as a shooter, I think that's going to be the next step in his game.
I think that's key as well, is the passing, because this Cavs team is not, they're not overloaded with good passes. Colin Sexton's not the greatest passer. Lauri Markkanen can't pass. Jared Allen, not a good passer. Darius Garland's pretty good. Rubio's pretty good. But they didn't have that, well, we just don't need the ball in Mobley's hands because everyone else can do that, because they didn't. So him fitting in there, I think, has worked pretty well for them so far. He's been super impressive on both ends of the court. Let's hope he can continue it. I've been really impressed with Bickerstaff saying, well, man, is this good? Let's just play him. Like, we don't need to play him 29 minutes tonight. Like, play him 35, 38. Let's go. Let's see what we can get here, and let's see how he develops. And, by the time we hit Christmas, he could be this team's best player very, very easily. Like, that's the trajectory that he's on at the moment. But it's not just all about Evan Mobley. There's been some surprises, you can say good or bad, with Cleveland so far. One of the big surprises, I don't know how you view it, Evan, but has been starting Lauri Markkanen at the 3 over last year's top 5 pick, Isaac Okoro. Now, Markkanen is a guy that struggles defensively no matter where he plays. I think he's out of position at the 3. I guess having his shooting in there versus Okoro's non-shooting is important for spacing. But how have you seen that decision to go with Markkanen at the 3, go with the 3 7-footers basically across the 3, 4, 5 position? How has that looked so far, and do you think it's something that they will persist with?
Off the top, yes, I think it's something they're going to persist with. JB Bickerstaff made it clear, but prior to their game against Charlotte, that he doesn't have enough tangible data or evidence to say that this is or isn't working, or it's really being detrimental to the team. And I guess if you want to pull advanced stats, you could say that, yeah, it's been okay. But if you just based on a basic eye test, it hasn't been ideal, because Lauri Markkanen isn't a small forward, and you're watching Desmond Bane or John Morant or Trae Young or the bevy of wings in Atlanta, or even Miles Bridges in Charlotte, take advantage of the fact that Lauri Markkanen isn't a traditional 3. And I think defensively, there's some issues there. Rebounding is a huge concern. I think just as a whole, this trio is getting out-rebounded and getting worked on the glass on a night-to-night basis, which is really discouraging when you have 3 7-footers on the floor. I understand the thought process if you want to look at basketball in a positionless view, in a positionless lens, perhaps, and you don't really want to say, okay, let's pencil in a small forward, a power forward, and a center. And if JB Bickerstaff believes these are our 3 best players to put in these positions, sure. I think, like you said, the spacing that Markkanen provides, you have to respect some of the gravity he does possess. And I think that helps Evan Mobley, who, like we were just talking about, is on the trajectory to be the best player for the Cavs maybe by Christmas time this year. And I think if you have that theoretical spacing next to him, it allows Mobley's life to be easier offensively. So I personally disagree with it. If the Cavs are hell-bent and determined, I think they need to really shake things up a little bit. I think long term, this is a fun offensive wrinkle, kind of like when they deployed Larry Nance Jr., Kevin Love, and either Andre Drummond or Jared Allen together at the same time. It's a fun offensive wrinkle. I think the Cavs can kind of just deploy this at random, maybe against certain teams, depending on the matchups on a night-to-night basis. But like I said, the Los Angeles Lakers are on the docket, and I think Isaac Okoro makes a hell of a lot more sense starting at the 3 and defending LeBron James instead of putting Lauri Markkanen and maybe watching him just kind of get eradicated by him, or even Westbrook, as cooked as Westbrook is.
What do we make, last thing, Evan, of Colin Sexton? It hasn't been a great start to the season for him. There's been games where, well, especially the last game where he played limited minutes in that one, even without Darius Garland in the lineup. We know that they failed to get a contract extension done in the off-season, and there's been whispers for years, it feels like, Sexton's best role is at a 6th man. Maybe they want to move on from him. But you tie all this in, those whispers, the lack of contract extension, I don't know if subpar play to start the year is the right word, but the fact that he's not like logging 35 a night like he would have done every other year. Is there anything to that, or how have you, maybe you're just completely viewing this differently to me, how are you viewing the start of the season for Colin Sexton?
I wouldn't be overly concerned, because their last game against Atlanta, he was dealing with foul trouble. He had 5 fouls, I believe, heading into the 4th quarter, and JB Bickerstaff, well, the lineup that had the hottest hands, which was Ricky Rubio, Isaac Okoro, Markkanen, and sometimes Kevin Love, then Evan Mobley and Jared Allen, and they were able to, he just rode with who was hot at that time, and they were able to get a win over the Hawks, and a much-needed win for them as well. But it's funny you mentioned that. I wrote about this at my Facebook bulletin page right down Euclid. Like, Colin averaged about 76 to 78 touches per game last year, and he's down to 56 now. So clearly he's not a huge priority in the offense, but he's been efficient at times. Prior to him going, I think, 11 of 21 against Charlotte, he was pretty efficient leading up to that and kind of leading the Cavs in scoring. He's trying to get his teammates involved, but it's just the shots aren't falling at times. I think the lack of having a point guard on a consistent basis because, like you said, Darius Garland's been hurt. So I think the lack of a true point guard for all 48 minutes on the floor for Cleveland is hurting them a little bit. Maybe asking Colin to do a little bit more than it's expected of him hurts. The lack of a contract extension certainly was a surprise. I do wonder maybe this is him betting on himself to say, okay, I don't think I'm worth. It was reported, and what my co-host Chris Manning and I have heard is about 20 million a year annually for him from Cleveland, and he said I'm worth more than that, so he's going to bet on himself this offseason. So I think it's a risky proposition. I worry because some of our listeners get upset because I think he's going to not Dennis. He's not like Dennis Schroeder, but he could end up in a situation where he does not even get close to what he was offered with Cleveland this prior off season. So you don't want to see that happen to him at all because he is a fun player. He is extremely talented, and it's just an interesting thing to kind of watch. It's an interesting development for sure because he's clearly not the main focus. If you want to look at it, it's obviously the 2 point guards, Rubio and Garland, and then it's Mobley, and then him, and then it's more Markkanen and Allen like leading the rear right behind him. So Sexton is kind of being not phased out, I want to say, but less of a priority going forward.
Yeah, if he didn't accept $20 million, he actually thinks he's worth more. I reckon he might be. I reckon he might find himself, as you said, worth less as we head into next offseason. I wouldn't be surprised to see him get a substantially smaller contract than that in the offseason. But there's plenty to play out, and Evan, you'll have it covered for us all over on Locked On Cavs with Chris throughout the season. Thanks for coming on Locked On NBA with me.
Thank you for having me. Appreciate it.